Hello, I'm Marcia McMillan. Thanks for joining us this morning on CTV News Channel. We begin with breaking news from Air Canada. The airline says it will start canceling flights tomorrow to allow for an orderly shutdown of operations. This as Canada's largest airline faces a potential strike by flight attendants. All flights by Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge will be grounded by the weekend. Customers whose flights are canceled can get a full refund. The decision follows a 72-hour strike notice coming from the union representing 10,000 flight attendants. In response, Air Canada issued a lockout notice for early Saturday morning. The airline said it reached an impasse in talks after the union declined to enter a binding arbitration process. The union says nothing has changed on their end.
Our members are still going to work. Our members are still there greeting customers, still doing the unpaid portions at the beginning and still attempting to get people to their destination as long as the planes are flying. There's nothing at this time that we've said, okay, stop doing. So it should be business as usual from the employee standpoint.
The Canadian Federation of Business today calling on the airline and the union to resolve the issue with no disruption to service. Failing that, they're calling on Ottawa to immediately intervene to avoid the significant economic damage a strike would have on the Canadian economy, which is already feeling the impact from the ongoing tariff dispute with the United States. With me now to discuss is Marty Firestone. He's president of Travel Secure Incorporated. Marty, hello to you. Thank you so much for being with us. Important conversation that we need to have. What do passengers now need to know if they were flying on Air Canada, which has just issued the statement saying that they're going to change the schedule, and the flight attendants say that they're on a 72-hour strike notice?
Yeah, quite frankly, I'm surprised it went this far. I thought we'd have a settlement prior to this decision. Now you've got them wanting to strike, Air Canada wanting to lock out, and who's kidding who? This isn't about Saturday morning anymore. This is about tomorrow, because quite frankly, they don't want planes scattered all over the world. So they're going to make adjustments starting tomorrow with cancellations and disruptions so that, again, they have all the planes in one spot should there be a strike. Travelers have got a lot of concerns. Two kinds of travelers. The ones leaving, they're going to be in a situation where how can they get to that cruise ship that they already paid all their monies for and it's non-refundable? They're going to be out monies a lot more than airfare. And then you've got the ones out of the country who can't get back. They're going to have additional nights at hotel, new airfare to get back home. So quite frankly, it's one big mess.
Okay, so if you were, for example, away from home right now and you had an Air Canada flight booked within the next couple of days, what would you do, Marty?
Quite frankly, I'd be looking for a non-refundable, I should say a refundable flight with a competitive airline to get me out of wherever I am and back home. Because quite frankly, if they should cancel or have a strike, then you can get rid of the ticket and get your monies back. And if they do go on strike, weren't you the smarter one for finding a ticket? So really important that you look for a competitive ticket, competitive airline, a refundable ticket.
Okay, ASAP. Now, what about if you've already booked with Air Canada? Will you get your money back?
100%. That's the simplest part of this whole problem. And you will get your monies back if they cannot find you another seat with a competitive airline within 48 hours. And who's kidding who? They're not going to, because quite frankly, hundreds of thousands of people would be going for that option, and there are not 100,000 seats available. So that's not going to work. So the bottom line is if they can't find you a seat and they're not going to, you're going to get a refund of all your monies that you paid. But that does not cover you for the costs of where you were going, the hotel, the Airbnb, the cruise ship, all that's going to be lost and out of your pocket.
So you say you're surprised that a deal hasn't been reached. How come?
I believe the normal bargaining process is just what it was up until last night at 12:30, when they then called the strike notice and then Air Canada rebutted with a lockout. That's now getting very, very serious, where at the beginning I really felt they would come to some kind of a decision. Now our only hopes are the next 3 days, this really pushes them to make a decision, or ultimately does the government intercede and do a back-to-work scenario. But to have this take place on Saturday, and let me remind you, even if it does get settled at 11:59 on Saturday morning, there's planes that didn't go where they were supposed to. There are people that were supposed to come back to Canada. There will be no planes there. So it's going to be a domino effect. and they will not get back to Canada, or people will not leave on the day they were supposed to, even as of tomorrow.
So in other words, Marty, just to conclude, you're telling us that the disruption has already started.
It has. There's no question. There was no time left. It's basically underway. It will be tomorrow. I have one client that already called me and received a letter, I should say an email from Air Canada advising them of a different flight time, which is just the beginning of how it's going to all work if we get into tomorrow with no settlement.
Okay, great advice from you. Marty Firestone is the president of Travel Secure Incorporated.